So now I would like to request the candidate of Bangladesh, Mr. Max, to give his speech. To Max, I would like to hear the point that post C190, and also we have to enact a law on anti-sexual harassment, sexual harassment, and violence. So how it actually cooperate each other and be our stands country-wise and international. So if you can give us some guidelines, figures, that would be great.
Thank you very much, and thanks to Kirtinasatv, the Secretary, NASA, the Gender Platform, all of you. This is really my privilege to be here. This is the first event in the Gender Forum, and it's an opportunity to meet so many distinguished leaders who are participating in the platform. I can see that it's really gathering a great energy when it comes to the issues related to gender. And our topic is a particularly important one for the ILO and for Bangladesh, this issue of gender-based violence and ensuring that all workplaces are safe, dignified, and free of violence and harassment. You know, we really feel, to the point that Sultan Bhai made earlier, this Convention 190 intersects with a broader range of international labor standards, including the standards on occupational safety and health. We know that gender-based violence at work can lead to both psychological and physical harm of workers. It violates that fundamental right to health and safety at work and is an affront to people's dignity. And so for the ILO, addressing this gender-based violence in the workplace is really central to advancing our core aims of work, but also around gender equality. There was an ILO global study in 2022 that found that more than 5 persons at work had experienced violence and harassment during their working life. And it's clear that gender-based violence and harassment at work, including sexual harassment, remain pervasive challenges globally, including in Bangladesh. We also saw data from the Bureau of Statistics in the Violence Against Women survey in 2024, which highlighted a number of issues. Let me share 3 key findings from this study. One is that intimate partner violence is certainly more prevalent, but significant women also face violence from non-partners, which occur in public spaces or in the community. And nationally, 15% of all women have experienced physical from a non-partner in their life. The economic violence, which includes financial control or restrictions, which is a major impediment to women's economic empowerment. Maybe 1 in 5 that are married women have experienced economic violence. And thirdly, violence and harassment carry a direct and a significant financial burden on survivors. On average, annually, survivors who sought help incurred almost 6,000 baht in medical costs or in legal fees pursuing the election. I think some statistics kind of underscore the urgency of the need to enhance worker protections at the enterprise level, but also to bring in institutional reform and strengthen the legal frameworks to tackle violence and harassment, including in the world of work. So that brings me to the ILO Convention 190, which is the first international treaty to recognize the right of everybody in the world of work to be free of violence and harassment. And it applies across sectors, both formal and informal. And it acknowledges violence can occur in public spaces, during commutes, even online. Bangladesh has taken very important steps towards ratification of Convention 190, which we warmly welcome, as well as the United Conventions on Occupational Safety and Health. And we've seen that in tandem, in parallel, the Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Women and Children's Affairs is also moving to introduce national legislation which closely aligns with the principles of Convention 190. I'm told that the national dialogue earlier this year, which reaffirmed this commitment about aligning the Labor Act and the sexual harassment bill with the protocol in Convention 190. We've been proud, the ILO has been proud to provide some support along the way to both ministries and to pieces of legislation. And some of what we've been advocating for is really ensuring clarity around definitions. So let me go into this a little bit because I think it's really critical. One is that violence and harassment should be defined very broadly and include unacceptable behaviors that cause psychological, sexual, or economic harm. This definition would explicitly include gender-based violence and harassment. Also, gender-based violence and harassment could refer to violence or harassment based on sex, gender, gender identity, or expression. That has been alluded to this. Disproportionate is an effect or effective. And thirdly, that sexual harassment should be defined in detail and broadly, cover unwanted sexual behaviors, abuse of power, hostile working environments, quid pro quo harassment. It may include physical, verbal, and non-verbal conduct that undermines dignity and creates an intimidating or offensive workplace. So really clearly defining what constitutes sexual harassment, what constitutes violence in the workplace, I think is an important step to tackling this issue, ensuring that the legal framework is broad but at the same time detailed. Also the process of sharing some of the experiences or the principles in Convention 190 looked at how grievance and redressal mechanisms can be served. But our work doesn't just stop translating conventions into national legislation or promoting greater alignment between those. Also in our programs, many of you will be very familiar with a number of the ILO programs. You were talking last week about the Progress Project. The Progress Project seeks to promote more inclusive skills training opportunities for workers, particularly focusing on women and people with disabilities, indigenous persons, and other marginalized communities. And as part of that program, we've been promoting safe vocational training and working environments. Also in the Better Work Bangladesh program, which I think many of you will be familiar with in the R&D sector, gender-based violence remains a priority. There we are enhancing gender equality and grievance mechanisms, as well as strengthening anti-harassment committees at the company level. And here, I also want to note that we are looking ourselves in the mirror. We talked before about how this is a global issue that affects all countries. It also affects all workplaces, including in the UN, including in the ILO, and not blind to that. We make the prevention of sexual exploitation and abuse mandatory for all staff in ILO Bangladesh. We make reporting of any kinds of harassment, abuse, or exploitation mandatory. You have to report it up the chain, including to the highest levels. And there are no channels to report. You come to the ILO office, you'll see a lot of posters around highlighting the importance of reporting any kind of sexual harassment. So we're very conscious that we haven't solved everything in our own house yet, and we're prioritizing this as an issue internally. Let me conclude by saying that we really look forward to the important steps that Governor Bangladesh, in consultation with all of the partners that may be around the table today, is taking with regards to advancing the ratification of conventions and the adoption of these two critical pieces of legislation. I really think it's a fantastic step forward and really sending an important signal to the society, to employers, and to workers that indeed this is a priority, that safe workplaces, free of violence and harassment, are a priority for government, for workers, and employers, organizations, for society, and certainly. And from the ILO, you can expect, indeed, demand from us our continued collaboration and engagement on this. We stand ready to support in any way we think we can to make that we're moving forward on this agenda together. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you all. I'm sorry that my Bangla isn't good enough to express in Bangla. Give me a few months or maybe a few years and maybe we'll get it. But I really appreciate this opportunity, this first chance to meet with this agenda forum, and I hope that it certainly won't be the last. But next time I'll be able to spend more time with you all and really explore how we can integrate our common objectives together. My colleague Rifa will be staying duration. She is the expert anyway, so I'm glad that she's here rather than me. But I look forward to seeing you all in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.